Well, happy Monday to you all. It's the day after San Diego Comic-Con. This week we have a lot to discuss. There's so many things we're going to be doing. Next couple of days you'll be seeing a story here, story there, concerning some of the things that came out of Comic-Con and the things that I thought were important enough to discuss, and some things that I disliked. And then, of course, there's going to be a lot of things I disliked on Comic-Con this year. Excuse me. And boy, I tell you, I hope those of you watching, you've gotten over this heat wave. Thank God it's a much cooler today. You may still hear fans in the background because we're still trying to cool off the office space and the studio space because it is warm. I'll tell you, we couldn't even get the computers going over the weekend because it was so warm in here, even with the ACs blasting all the way. You know, the computers were struggling just a little bit. But before we really get into this, thank you for subscribing to this show. Thank you very much for all the new subscribers that come on. You know, I always say subscribe, like, support, share, because we are not being promoted by YouTube. They're not doing a good job of this. And, you know, as a creator here on YouTube, we should be promoted by the people who put us out and not shows like for CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, The Tonight Show, The Late Late Show, which are all network shows which have their respective networks to promote them. And for them to overtake what our spots are is totally wrong. So, man, let me tell you, Comic-Con was, by all means, a little interesting, a little different this year, concerning that a lot of companies this year decided to skip or had a minimal appearance at the Comic-Con, especially at Hall H. Hall H was totally different this year. Glass of water. One thing I wanted to get started before we get really deep into everything this week, which the next couple of days you will see at least one of the episodes dedicated to San Diego Comic-Con. We didn't want to overwhelm everyone, but we're going to do a couple in the next couple of days, and just give you a breakdown of certain things that are happening. But this is something I wanted to bring across because this hit today, and a couple other YouTubers mentioned this. We know over the weekend we had a big issue with the CW Batwoman series. Ruby Rose canceled her appearance at the last minute, citing that they were having a lot of work to do on the show, that they were still shooting, and either they were behind schedule or there was a lot of reshooting and stuff like that. We don't know exactly the situation. And we know a couple of trailers came out. There was some tattoo trailer, which was ridiculous. I mean, it just literally, I mean, and the trailers that came before this trailer were just totally, oh my God, just totally a dumpster fire for the series. Now, I know I had mentioned, I just popped the halls. I mentioned in the past Ruby Rose was a good choice. She's a good actress. And I know she had a lot of criticism from the opposite end that they say she's not gay enough for the character. But it seems like now we're seeing that just basically the way this is being written, it's just not working for the DC fans. And I'm in total agreement. The way this looks, it just really looks like this is going to be just totally a dumpster fire, and that's not good for the CW because you know you've had situations with the Arrow, which now this season is going to be the last season for the Arrow. Flash has faltered a bit, so has the other two shows. Black Lightning, I have to say, for seeing the trailer this week, it has a better look of it, the feel to it. It could be a good season. Last season was it was okay, but I think the trailer looks. There's some good points to this trailer that's coming out for Black Lightning, and I'm going to keep an eye open on that one. But with Ruby Rose and this, it's not looking good. And the other part of it is one thing I noticed, and a lot of YouTubers noticed this morning, is if you go to the YouTube site at the CW, all the other videos from the Batwoman trailers are all gone. I mean, they are just purged, or they're in private, because there's only one video there, and it is just a tattoo trailer. Why have they done this? It's very weird that they've done this. The possibility is because of all the criticism that has been going online about Batwoman, and I think they're just seconding thought on the show itself, and I think that's the reason why Ruby didn't show up on Saturday. Because I think it was Saturday she was supposed to show up. I mean, people were even criticizing the marketing plan. I think they had redone a hotel, and a lot of people didn't like the marketing that they were doing for the show at San Diego Comic-Con. And for her to cancel out the last minute, that just pissed everybody off. So, when you have a show like this, and my wife has always the line when there's any CW show, it doesn't matter what show it is, she goes, "Oh, look, there's the CW people." Because basically she'd be just the way, the look of every show. It's like every show looks the same way. It doesn't matter whether it's Riverdale, the Legacies, any of the DC stuff on there. The only thing that looks different is pretty much is Supernatural stuff, and this is its last season anyway, so it doesn't matter with Supernatural now. But if you look at all the other shows that they've been bringing out, they just all look the same. And, one thing about her, and she has to say this, she likes the Sabrina TV series. Now, no, Sabrina did not air on CW. It aired on Netflix. And it was drastically different from the CW shows, even though it had the little bit of the feel of it, but it wasn't as the same CW look that every other show has. And that's the problem with the CW right now, the way they're advertising their shows, the way they're promoting them. They just, you're hearing the bad word out there, they're always saying is when you push diversity into your programming. So you have to remember, it's okay to have a diverse cast, but when you promote that as being the biggest highlight of the show, that's a problem. See, that's what's going on in Hollywood now. You are promoting you're hiring diversity. You're making diversity as the forefront instead of spending time on the story arc itself. Don't worry about who you're going to hire as going to play your roles. Create the atmosphere of the story itself. Concentrate on what you're going to do for the season. And then you can work on the characters. When you look at the characters, it says, well, I'm going to hire this type of person because they're this way. Or this person because of their nationality or color or something like that. It's not how it works. When you do a story, you do the story. The person who writes the story is sort of the, how can I put this? They're sort of the artiste molding a lump of clay. And when they mold it, then they could see what they're going to infuse it with. And then you sit there, when you're doing your hiring of the characters for your show, you have to look at the story itself and then look at the person. Can they do this role? When you spend time saying, well, this particular role, they're going to be transgender, or they're going to be gay, or they're going to be of this nationality. It's okay to have each one of those kind of people in the story itself, but when you're promoting it strongly like that, it takes away from the story. See, you want to take an example of a good, diverse TV series, and we're going to talk about it later because they got season 4 coming, is The Expanse. Look at The Expanse. fantastic science fiction show. I think one of the best science fiction shows to date. And what do they have? They have a very diverse cast of many nationalities. You know? And look how it's promoted on there. It's not promoted because they have a diverse cast. They have promoted because they have a great storyline. And that's what's important, is your story is what carries it over. You know, I've always said, and one thing I love about the comic book stories is that my favorite characters are always the villains. Do you know why the villains I always think is the best part? Is because they carry the narrative of the story. They are the ones that the whole story revolves around. Even though, you know, you can have a whole story, you know, it's a Batman tale, but the Joker is the one that the story is talking about. Batman, even though he's the main character, the Joker is what carries the story. And, you know, we've been losing this situation, whether it's superhero series, animated series, movies. A lot of movies that, you know, they promote that, you know, oh, we have a woman in this there, we have a woman director, we have a woman cameraman, we have okay, there's no problems of having, you know, different genders working, you know, if you have a male or a female, whether if they're transgender, whether it's gay, that doesn't matter. I'm not going in to look for that. I'm going into, is the story good? Am I going to enjoy it? Am I going to want another story like this? And that's what the Expanse was. The first day I picked up that, you know, that episode on the Expanse, I wanted more. You know, when I hit the season finale, I was like, oh. And, you know, Sci-Fi Channel canceled it. It's like, oh. And from what I understand, the first 3 seasons is not really even getting into the hardcore of the story of the Expanse. Season 4 is going to be the hardcore part of it, you know. But getting back to Batwoman, what's going on at CW? Are they rethinking this now? Do you think that they have gone wrong with this? You know, I mean, like I said, Ruby Rose, she is a good actress. You know, I could see her as Batwoman. But the way this is being pulled across, you know, how the CW is playing this, you wondered why they pulled everything. You wondered why she didn't show up at Comic-Con. So, comment below. Tell me how you feel about the situation. And I know how a lot of people are going to feel about this. You know, because you've had a lot of situations, and we'll discuss this in a lot of other of the San Diego Comic-Con episodes, that, you know, we're missing the point. These companies are missing the point, is the story is what is need to be focused on. Stop focusing on who you're hiring, what your characters are going to be like. Focus on the story. It has to be a good story first. Okay? Don't forget, we are on Minds, Gab.com. We are also on BitChute. You know, obviously we're still on Facebook somewhat, and Twitter, so you can still find us there. But basically, mostly we're on Gab and Minds, and we get a lot of interaction between that. And also, thank you to those who have commented on our lines, especially here on YouTube. Lately, it's getting up a little bit, and I'm glad, you know, there are a lot of people. Some of them are it's not too great on the comment line, but that's okay. Interaction is very important. And, you know, hey, some people have their opinions. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are okay. Some of them are... But that's your opinion. And I want to hear your opinion down in the comments below, or on Gab or Minds or Twitter, you know, wherever we are. The links are below on all the sites we are on. So we got one more tonight. Then during the week, we're going to be talking about Comic-Con most of this week. Not both shows each day. It'll be one show a day. We'll be doing a little bit on a recap of Comic-Con. because if I filter it all together, it'll be a long show, and we don't want to do that. So also we are still monitoring the Vic Mignogna case. We're still going over the depositions, so we're not finished yet with the depositions. We haven't had too much time over the weekend since it was hot. I was able to at least read some of the depositions. There are some additions that's going on, some craziness that's going on that's on there. We're expecting a surprise thing. Nick Ricketta said something's coming up that could change this whole thing. Hopefully we'll be getting some sort of show together, sort of a recap of how we feel, on my thoughts of the depositions. I don't know if there's going to be a Jamie Marchi deposition. I'm not certain on that. I'm going to have to try to contact Nick on that and see if there is one coming, see if he'll answer me on Twitter. I mean, there should be one, but who knows. Also, we're monitoring the Anas Abin Star Trek Discovery lawsuit. We haven't forgotten about that. There's also the Mark Wade, Richard C. Meyer lawsuit, the Richard C. Meyer lawsuit versus Mark Wade lawsuit, which we're also monitoring. We haven't really reported on to that. There are other people reporting it, but it's starting to get a little juicy now. We're probably going to be talking about that very soon. So, subscribe, like, support, share. We'll see you later tonight.